What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with my MMA news. And as you guys can see behind me, I have my degree from Lock Haven University hanging behind me. Today's guest didn't go to Lock Haven, but still supporting the Pennsylvania state of higher education. They're going to Slippery Rock, joined today by Josh Fremd. Josh, of course, just defeated Jamie Pickett at UFC Vegas 78. Josh, nice to see you, man. How you doing?
Hey, nice to see you again too, man. Good to be here, chopping it up after another W.
Yeah, man, back-to-back wins for you, and more importantly, back-to-back must-wins for you. Just how good does it feel, man? You spoke before the fight about everything that was going into this one. Now, here we are. You got your hand raised. Just how's it feel? I'm feeling good? I'd have to imagine it does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling good. I'm trying not to, completely dampen my own mood. I'm the biggest, critic of myself in all cases. So, the past couple of days, after I've had time to, sit back and reflect, I'm trying to be more, happy about it because I just won two in a row in the hardest organization in the world, the highest level of fighting. And to me, I just didn't feel like I performed to the level that I could have because of mistakes that were made on my part. And I'm happy for the win. Wish I could have performed better. Wish I could have got the finish. But yeah, I mean, after starting off, with two mishaps, short notice fight, and then get choked out my first two, 0-2, not many people are able to bounce back. So I'm happy that I was able to do that.
And I know you had mentioned ahead of the fight, too, talking about those pressures. 'Cause I asked you about what it was like getting that first win. And you said it's nothing like getting a weight lifted off your shoulders. Because I got to come back. I got to win this one because I have obviously to have contract negotiations with the UFC following it. Just with those pressures, right, on fight week, did you feel any pressure or was all that kind of on the back burner? Wasn't in your mind as you as fight night got closer and closer?
No, actually, it wasn't on my mind at all. And I said this in the post-fight press conference. I was a little bit worried that I didn't feel the anxiety in the back that I normally did, like the anxiousness of, I mean, I felt like, oh yeah, we're going to get into a fight, but like I didn't feel any added pressure. I feel like that's just a part of growing now that I may have had four fights in the UFC. I know what that feeling's like. I know what the walk's like, the canvas, the light, everything. So I've grown accustomed to it. And now I think that moving forward, I'm going to be able to just take those feelings and just push them towards the fight and not have the anxiety.
And that is a good thing that you have grown evolved in that regard. Now, obviously, nerves, and that's always going to be a thing before a fight, but the fact you're kind of used to it says a lot just about the growth of your career here so far. I guess as we get into the fight here now a little bit, I do want to ask about the missed weight there. I know that's tricky. You go ahead, explain it to everybody what all took place with that. I know a lot goes into weight cuts and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I take full responsibility for that. I messed up on my weight cut. I didn't give up though. Like I fought all the way until the last possible minute where they were calling me like, you have to get on the shuttle, you have to come or you're gonna miss it. I was cutting weight in the sauna. I just could not get those last 3 pounds off. My body wasn't sweating. It wasn't allowing me to lose the weight. I started kind of convulsing and dry heaving and shaking. I felt like I was going to, if I pushed any further, and I wouldn't to, but I didn't have the time. And the fact that it was 3 pounds, they wouldn't even let me go try. So, massive respect to Jamie for taking the fight. And I will apologize up until I make weight for my next fight, 185 on the dot. I promise you, because that's not me. I feel that's very disrespectful, and I just want everyone in the UFC, everyone around who knows, like I take that very seriously, and I'm my own worst critic. So anything anyone said to me on Twitter, trust me, I've already said it to myself.
Hey, MMA Twitter could be a cruel place sometimes, but I guess along the lines with this weight miss, you did say that you do plan on rebounding finally from it. You will make 185 on the dot the next time out. Did you, after all this occurred, get a chance to talk to Dana or Hunter and the UFC matchmakers, kind of get to at least just have a conversation about it, or not so much?
Not so much. I got to talk to Sean a bit, and I apologized deeply, explained my situation and everything. But at the end of the day, I signed a contract to be at that weight. And as a man, as a competitor, I need to make sure that I keep my word on that.
All right, so now we got through everything that took place prior to the fight. Let's get into the X's and O's of this fight here. First and foremost, a lot of grappling, a lot of clinching going on with this fight. Is that kind of how you envision things playing out with this fight? That was going to be the way things were going to go down?
No, not at all. The first 2.5 minutes before I got into the clinch, that was the game plan. Flow, be free, take my setup shots. I had a couple kicks and punches that nearly missed, but I got into a grappling exchange, and it had to have been the weight cut. I mean, my arms just filled up, and it felt like I was carrying 90-pound weights in each arm, and it was a little bit hard for me to get myself going. And I felt that's why I was just so frustrated afterwards, because you put in so much work in the camp, and I did so many things right, almost everything right. I just messed up the last thing, and that was the weight cut, and that can screw up the entire fight, your entire game plan. So that's what's frustrating for me, because that wasn't my game plan. There were multiple opportunities. I feel like I should have got the finish, and I didn't capitalize on those moments. But yeah, just, I didn't want to grapple like that. I didn't want to be a clinch, boring fight against a cage, and that's never something I want to do.
Well, I do think this says a lot of volumes too, just about you as a fighter, because typically for fighters, they come out, they have a game plan. If things aren't going with the way they thought it would go, it can be very chaotic, very tricky, very stressful. Seemed like you handled it very well. I know a lot was going on there. You explained the way how your body was feeling. Did you see maybe a growth and an evolution in your game just from that regard, that, hey, I came out, what I thought was going to happen is not happening, and you had a completely different fight than you envisioned, probably what you planned for, and were able to still go out and get the job done the way that you did?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome to be able to grow during those moments. Like I say, you only get 15 minutes, and the whole world is watching you in your underwear. You got to figure it out. And I'm happy that I was able to, grind out a win, figure out a win. But I'm more entertaining than that. I'm better than that. And I hope I get another shot to prove that.
And I do want to ask about the second round of the fight. You did throw up a few submission attempts there. Were any of those close to being locked in and getting the finish in those moments? Or did you not have the best situation there?
Yeah, I mean, the first one that I got when I jumped it, I thought I had it at first. He did a great job shouldering in and getting his chin underneath. I tried to sit up and readjust my wrist. And then once I realized I didn't have it, like I said, my arms are heavy as heck. So I bailed and got out. The second one, man, I thought he was out. His arms went limp. He fell to his back, and then it wasn't stopped. And I looked at him, and he's looking at me like he saw ghosts and he's awake. I'm like, oh, he's still here. All right, so we got to keep going. I thought for sure he was out with that one.
So obviously, he's able to survive those. I do want to talk now about the final round. And this did happen a few other times with the fight. I know it definitely did happen a few times in the last round. I thought this was so impressive by you. Anytime that Jamie would get himself into a position that you think, oh, let's see if Jamie could do something here, you were like that to scramble and reverse those positions. Just talk about that. And I know at Factory X, you guys have a lot of high-level guys. How much of that is from the training at Factory X when you have those bigger, stronger guys on top of you in that gym and working on those different scenarios?
Oh, yeah, man. I appreciate you saying that it looked like that. I felt like I could have been much faster. I feel like I'm a really good scrambler, and I can create good situations out of a scramble for myself. But yeah, when you have the likes of Cody Brundage and Rob Wilkinson, Anthony Smith, Dustin Jacoby, just on your back, on your neck every day, you learn to get out of crappy situations.
And it was funny on my YouTube channel here, right, when we did our interview before the fight, an individual had commented on it from Russia, actually, and he said, I'm probably the only person in Russia who supports you. And he was so impressed with when you had your last win, that moment on the microphone. He thought you really did a great job of winning fans over. And that was a great speech that you gave the last time. I know this time, no mic moment. At least I didn't see it broadcasted anywhere if there was one, and I checked everywhere, so I don't think there was one. Were you upset at all
Nah.
that you didn't get a moment on the mic afterwards? Because that's usually a pretty big moment for a fighter after getting a big win to get on the microphone and say something.
Yeah, I mean, I had, if I had gotten the finish or I performed a little bit better, I had a whole thing I wanted to say. I had names I wanted to call out. And then after that performance, after I watched the fight back a couple times and I listened to the commentary, I don't think the commentary did me any justice on getting an opportunity to talk on the mic. But yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so now obviously the big question, that was the last fight on your UFC contract. You're 2-2. Negotiations, I'm sure, officially have begun. Just what could you tell us with everything going on there? Of course, the plan is indeed to stay in the UFC.
Yeah, I want to stay in the UFC. I've worked my entire adult life basically trying to get here. And I'm finally getting some momentum. I'm finally figuring things out outside of the cage that makes me better in the cage. And I want to stay here. It's the best organization in the world. It's the NFL of fighting. It's the highest level, and that's where I want to be. So your guess is as good as mine. I believe I have one of the best managers in the game in Jason House, and he's gonna, I believe, and trust the process. I'm gonna let him do his job. But I'm on a 2-fight win streak in the highest level in the UFC. So if they want to resign me, I'm happy. My life's great. If they don't, I'm on a 2-fight win streak. I have options. I don't want to take those, but I got to look at everything.
And if there's anybody that's out there watching this interview that might not be sure what negotiations and everything, Iridium Sports Agency, fantastic management group, have a lot of guys on the UFC roster. So I know that you are in good hands there. And I noticed that you referred to the UFC as the NFL of fighting. Funny you brought up the NFL because I wanted to end as we talking about that. So your Friday night, right before the fight, sure, lots going on there. Probably trying to settle down, relax your mind, everything. Steelers were playing Friday night in a preseason game.
Yes,
How
they
many times
were.
you look over at the phone, put it on the TV, try to get a glimpse of what's going on there?
Oh, we had it up on the TV in the hotel room. My coach, Randy Caruso, even though he's from Cleveland, he's a huge Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And yeah, we sat, chopped it up, watched the game a bit. Didn't watch the full game because we wanted to get some food. But yeah, I am ready for football season, man. I'm excited for what the Steelers are going to bring to the table this year. And it's always nice to have that hope before the season starts.
Yeah, I know. The hope before the season's always the great part. And now we've been blessed. Obviously, I'm a Packers fan. You're a Steelers fan. We usually have better seasons than what most franchises have. So I know a lot of people's hopes get derailed quickly there. I did want to ask, too, I know you are going back home for just a brief, quick little period of time, see some family, some friends and everything. Obviously, Steelers in training camp at the moment. You planning on swinging by, checking out any practices or anything?
Oh man, if I get an opportunity, yeah, that's the goal. I want to I have to check the Pirates schedule as well. Like I want to get in the city, go to a game, go to the Trobe, see some practices, and then yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be a great time home.
So when I was in Pittsburgh recently, when you said baseball, it made me think of this. I actually stayed at the hotel, was like right next door to the baseball stadium. That's absolutely beautiful down there, and everybody says it's like the best baseball stadium in all of baseball.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you relate to that? I'm sure probably is. It looks like it anyway. That's a beautiful facility they have.
It is beautiful. The skyline is amazing with the city in the backdrop. Don't get me wrong, the Rocky Stadium has a beautiful in its own right with the sky and the purple clouds and everything. But if we're talking straight cityscape, Pittsburgh's all the way.
And then just one last thing before we wrap it up. When we were talking about the Steelers before, I know you said the hope is still there before the season. Steelers got a lot of nice parts to build on there. What's your thoughts for the season? The Steelers going to be a playoff team this year, fight for a wild card spot. Obviously, might be tough with the division with the Bengals, of
Yeah.
course, but you never know. Burrow is injured. You don't know how much time he's going to miss. There might be some time opportunities early, possibly to maybe steal a couple games there. You really don't know how it's going to play out.
Yeah, I mean, if they stay healthy, I really see them competing for a playoff spot, whether it be if they end up like right behind Bengals or a wild card spot. They were close last year, kind of just ran out of time almost. But I think this year, Kenny Pickett's taking us to the playoffs for sure.
And I'm just, like I said the last time, I'm confident with the Packers. The Packers, it looks like every day they're getting better and better. They're very young.
They're looking
If
good.
you get a fight in by the end of the year, which I know you're planning on it, we might have to take a look back to this clips and see where we're at here. Our predictions could be completely way off. You never know how the football season's going to go, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Josh, as always, man, appreciate the time. Just last thing before you head out, social media management, sponsors, all that good stuff. Take it away.
Yeah, you guys can hit me up on Instagram at Josh Fremd MMA. Huge shout out to Iridium and Jason House, and a huge shout out to my team at Factory X and all my coaches, my teammates. They're nothing but great to me, and I'm just blessed that I'm able to live in this beautiful state, train every day like I'm a Dragon Ball Z character, and live my goals, live my dreams, man. It's surreal sometimes.